What's going on, everyone? American in Leeds, the American in Leeds YouTube and Spotify channel. My name is Alex Simon. Just a quick note, I have a podcast with the Joe Wainman up on my Spotify. You can find it at American in Leeds. If you search American in Leeds in Spotify, you will be able to find that. And it's a 30-minute conversation with Mr. Wainman and one of the godfathers of LUFC content creation, the watch-along GOAT, the hardest working man in LUFC world. Appreciate him coming on. I like to talk about football. I like to talk about life. I like to talk about what makes Leeds fans tick. I think that's interesting to me. I've been a fan fairly recently, so I'm not going to sit here and say that I know everything and I'm the end-all be-all of Leeds United fandom. I'm certainly not. I'm just a guy, trying to figure this club out like the rest of you, and I honestly treat this space like a pub, like a bar. Like I would go in and we would talk about football. I like some of the best stuff I like is the comment section. I like talking about and chatting the game of opinions, which is football. So let's dig into the stats. My thoughts on the performance of Peterborough 0, Leeds United 3. Some questions that still remain, and then my personal thoughts on the January transfer window. I am not a transfer guru. I've learned my lessons during the Rodrigo de Paul saga. This is not my cup of tea. Nothing's official until it gets announced by the club. But I will look in a crystal ball and try to forecast what I think the 49ers will do based on, their behavior in the past and maybe how I think American teams operate. And maybe that can be my value to you. So shots. Let's go to the stats. Shots 21 by United, 11 by Peterborough, or the Posh. I think that's an interesting nickname. I could probably dig into what that is, but that's all right. 7 shots on target by Leeds United, 3 shots on target by Peterborough, and I didn't even think they were really working the keeper. Honestly, must have been, I think it was 1 shot the whole game, must have been a couple late. Possession 51-49, and this is what I predicted. I predicted that they would come out and play football against us and probably lose. So again, that theme continues of teams that actually like to play and come out, we will beat. Teams that like to put in a block, I think there's still a question there. Corners 7 to Leeds, 4 to Peterborough. I mean, these are general stats, but it does kind of give you a taste of the performance. Other YouTube content creators have been calling it, I believe Phil Hay called it a business-like performance. I would agree with that. This is the best cup performance. Again, I've been a fan for 8 years, 7-8 years. First season I really followed Leeds was Gary Monk. This is the best cup performance I've had as a fan. I've never been a big romantic for the cup. I've always been because we don't really get very far, and quite honestly, there's times where we've gotten embarrassed in cup games, and obviously now we have a home game. So business-like performance, great. It's great to have success in a cup with a heavily rotated side. Well-worked set piece. That first goal was a well-worked set piece to Ampadu. Would he been offsides? Who cares? There's no VAR. And if it would have been slight, but come on, that's a goal. And certainly in the spirit of the rule. Bamford's wonder goal. Look, it's just great to see him have confidence. I mean, it's a beautiful goal. Probably the best that I've seen him score outside of the hat trick goals maybe at Villa. He had a beautiful strike against Leicester behind closed doors in the first year of the Premier League. But other than that, yeah, beautiful goal. So it's good to get his the main thing for me, I mean, outside of that being a great goal, confidence. And he was interviewed after the game and said that he never lost confidence, which is great in his mind, and he was serious. You have to have amnesia in this position. So he said as soon as I would get consistent starts, he thought goals would come. Well, they're coming, and at least one goal in the past 2 games. So long may it continue. I have stuff up on my Twitter. Wayman and I talked about it. Other people. He's a classic. I have podcasts that go back last year. He's a classic, out and out number 9. His movement is elite. Not many people understand his position. I've talked about him at nausea. There's times where he frustrates me, but we're seeing maybe the good, and let's ride this wave as long as it can. Ampadu, I thought he performed well with the armband. There's players that we've seen that maybe can't handle that armband, that it's heavy for them. Like we always talk about the shirt is sometimes heavy for players. He rose to the occasion. That was great to see. I really think he is. We've been talking about it, maybe even back into preseason. He is, it's nice to see that he's in line for that captaincy now, that he is probably the 4th outside of Cooper, Ayling. We'll see what happens to both them. Pascal, he's been here the longest, and now Ampadu, who just got here. So it's really great to see him take that armband on. And it's just a good performance from a heavily rotated side, which I have not seen in the Leeds United squad in a very long time. Questions remain. The questions remain. What are those questions? Well, the questions are, can they continue to perform well against a side that doesn't necessarily want to come out and play, that wants to get into defensive shape very quickly? Whether you call that a low block or mid block, I just call it a team that gets into a defensive shape as soon as the ball is turned over. They are settled in. So, whether they are able to unlock a block, I think continues. And that's really kind of I think the away ground stuff will sort itself out, but teams always are up for it against Leeds United when we come into the town, because we are the biggest club in the championship right now. Transfers, note on transfers. Again, not a transfer guy. Not a big, you're going to see me, when something gets discussed, it needs to be discussed, I'll talk about it. The rumor mill will be flying for the next 3 weeks. I always recommend Gier. Obviously, Joe will be doing channels. Ollie does some good content there. If it's well researched, pick a channel, pick a couple of Twitter accounts and follow them. But there's just so much spam out there. And again, context is always important with some of this stuff. But I'm expecting a slow window. I'm expecting probably more outgoings than incomings. Well, what do I mean by that? I mean some of the fat around Thorpe Arch. Not in a bad way, but the 49ers will look to trim some players that for whatever reason are not getting in. Is that loaning out Charlie Cresswell? I don't see us selling him because we just gave him a contract and the 49ers are business savvy. And we gave him the number 5 shirt. I just don't see him being sold. That doesn't make sense. He had a good season prior with Millwall. He made the England team. I believe he won the Euros with the England team. He's a well-documented prospect in England. I just don't see the 49ers selling him, even if he is butting heads with the gaffer at this moment in time. So, or the gaffer doesn't rate him. So I do maybe see a loan there. I do see a loan for some other guys like a Joffe. These are the type of things I'm talking about. Or a sale of Joffe, a sale of Ailing. Some of the guys that for whatever reason are not getting game time. So I see some outgoings like that. I don't see any big outgoings. I really don't see Nanto going just because of depth. And obviously Jaden Anthony's not going to leave now. So what do I see coming in? I see 1 or 2 defenders coming in. I don't see Farka messing with the front 4. I just don't. I don't see him. He's not going to do it. He's certainly not going to promise game time to anybody. So I do expect him to get 1 or 2 defenders in, possibly both fullback positions. My personal wish list would be, and you saw how good Archie Gray was in midfield. That was the other big note of this last game. I would probably say 2 fullbacks, and one of those fullbacks, I've talked about this as well, to shape a ball, to put in just an excellent cross from a set piece, because we got 2 set piece goals in the cup game, but by and large, they've been very few and far between for this club. I would love to see a fullback that can shape a ball, and maybe a fullback or a center back that can be dominant in the air. We are very good in the air. I think we do. We're better on set piece defense, but it would be great to have a fullback that can be, Air Jordan, and put some balls in from headers. I would love to see that to continue. And that's it. That's my prediction for the window. We'll see if that comes true. I think it will. If they say it's going to be a quiet window, it will be a quiet window, and it'll be a lot of rumor mills. But you're not going to see. I don't think you're going to see any kind of. You're not going to see any movement until late in the window. This is going to be a mini summer window where it's going to be quiet, and then the last week you're going to see 1 or 2 names drop. The 49ers are savvy negotiators. This is just how they operate. And in the meantime, if we can continue to pick up points with the current squad, we will. So that's my thoughts. Long may this winning continue. Long may Bamford's form continue. And marching on Leeds. Leave your comments below. I'm interested in what you think you want. I just, as much as we might need a 10, I don't see Farka based on Perot and based on, even though he hasn't been performing that well, Router's performance there since he's dropped deep. I just don't see him really getting anything in the mix. And his front 4 have always been very fluid. And then I think we're set in the midfield. I think you almost get a surplus requirements there. So that's it. Marching on together, Leeds.